Hello everyone, and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week we'll be discussing the episodes broadcast in the UK on the BBC from Monday the 12th to Friday the 16th of April. I'm Alex, your host, and joining me on his slowly deteriorating computer, we have Rob.
Too true. I'm so stressed after the past hour of my life.
I was about to say, sum up in 30 seconds what we've been through, Rob.
I couldn't even tell you. You know when? The thing is, nothing stresses me out more than technology not working and not telling you why it's not working and just letting you try and work it out yourself. And when you've got somebody on the other end waiting to start something and you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm so sorry. So yeah, all in all, honestly, and we're talking on levels now, like. The microphones aren't loud the levels and they should be, so it's all very, very. But there we go.
Deal with it. That's my
in the northern accent that obviously you all have.
Yeah, us Southerners. Although you're a Northerner, aren't you?
You're a lot more Northern than I am now, mate.
Yeah, but I go out. See, there's a threshold from Northerner to Scottish, so I'm now Scottish. Yeah. So I kind of.
I suppose so. Otherwise, you could call Icelandic people really Northern, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Santa is such a Northerner.
Hey, you want that down your chimney or not?
Got something in my sack for you, love.
We are discussing EastEnders this week and lots of different stories. We'll be talking about, obviously, the Kush story with a big climax coming next week. We'll be talking about the Carters and family and lots of characters returning this week. But before any of that, we're going to talk about a story that I think was meant for last week, but because of scenarios and bits and pieces, they had to bring it forward to this week. And that is that Karen has lost her job at the laundrette. Mr. Papadopoulos... Put my teeth in. Yep. He, Mr. P, to his friends, he has gotten rid of her. I don't know if he's aware that he now has no staff working at that laundrette anymore. But
no. The actor who's, but we've seen Mr. Papadopoulos before, haven't we? In some form, or is this like the older generation of Papadopoulos we've seen?
This is the third generation.
Right. So we've never seen this guy before.
No, I'm sure we have. He did the interviews when Masood was going for the same job as Karen. And there was that kind of comedy storyline, and they were both, I mean, he's had a glow up. I don't remember him being quite as handsome as he was this week.
There are times when I look at the Walford Weekly social media, and I can just take an educated guess sometimes about who's behind each post. This was one of those occasions where all of a sudden Walford Weekly is begging for Mr. Papadopoulos to become a regular character.
Who do you think wrote it? This is a good game. Who wrote that tweet?
Surely you.
No, it was Ben.
Really? Oh,
Ben took a keen interest on Mr. Papadopoulos this week.
Did he now? I thought he'd be well up your alley. You wish.
And first edit of the show. Recording is live, everyone. Recording is live. Like Ben, though, Karen had a bit of a soft spot for Mr. Papadopoulos as well, and was using her lady charms to kind of convince him to keep her job. But then...
well, this is the thing. First of all, Mr. Papadopoulos arrives at the laundrette and says to Karen, I need to take you for a drink after work, which ultimately makes Karen... in the end, quite excited to go for a drink with this very handsome man. So she goes to the Vic, all tarted up. Now, when Karen tarts herself up, it's a sight to behold, isn't it? Because she's got her hair all tied back, her boobs are on full display. It's very obvious what her intentions are when Karen tarts herself up. So Papadopoulos was able to take one look at Karen and say, no, you've misread this situation entirely. Actually, you're sacked. Because the situation is that the laundrette is a family-run business, and they now can't afford to keep Karen. Which, for a start, should we be worried about the laundrette's future as a fixture of Albert Square? Are we going to see it again after this?
Will it be missed though? Really, it's not really used much for social stories anymore
these days.
I mean, it was used a lot during the Max and Linda storyline for their kind of secret chat with each other, but
trysts.
But I don't think it's really...
It's not the gossip central it once was. But I mean, to be fair, who uses a laundrette these days on the grand scheme of things? Just to go and wash their undies. No one does that at all, do they?
I know. The last time the laundrette was kind of used before it became a laundrette again was a pop-up restaurant, wasn't it? For Nancy and
Tamwa.
Tamwa, yeah. So...
I remember.
I think you're right. I don't think that the laundrette is much of a set anymore. And
it's a shame.
It is a shame, but it's... I don't know. What could it be instead? What could it be?
Maybe an ECAF.
What's an ECAF?
Like, I don't know. Like somewhere where you get like with loads of computers.
Oh, an internet cafe.
You can just go.
They're a bit old hat as well, aren't they?
An ECAF.
An ECAF. Oh, an internet cafe is a bit old-fashioned as well. I thought like most people have internet on their phones.
That's true.
God, how old do we sound?
It's more up to date than a laundrette. Maybe it could be a wireless shop. A vinyl place.
Honestly, I scare myself about how old I sometimes sound. I was speaking to someone yesterday and I said to them, "Oh, I'll send you an email," and they laughed at me because emails are old-fashioned. Apparently, it's like they were message me on Messenger, and I was like, "Oh, email." Wow. Yeah. I'm old, Rob.
Emails are out of fashion now.
Apparently. It's old-fashioned. It's old-fashioned. It's like you don't use your mobile phone for phoning anyone. You use it for just tweeting rubbish.
It's depressing. It's very depressing.
How old do I feel? So poor Karen, anyway, she's depressed because she was going to... What was she going to do? She was going to get Mr. Papadopoulos in trouble for seducing her. Then she threatened to tell his wife, but then he was going to give her 6 months' worth of redundancy pay anyway.
Because she got the date. First of all, she got the first date mixed up in her head, thinking it was a date when she was in fact being made redundant. And then Papadopoulos says, "Look, no, let me meet you. I will treat you to dinner because fair enough. I have just made you redundant, and then we'll talk about alternative arrangements for us." Which Karen is initially absolutely horrified by because her brain automatically goes to he wants me to become a prostitute. I don't know how she landed on that, but there you go. It says something also about the way that the show sort of is at the minute that I was fully expecting Karen not to be a skint prostitute on Friday and be a skint prostitute on Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't surprise me, really. But it seems that, after a few moments of realising just how skint she is and Bailey needs money for something and, the rent's gone and the freezer's gone out of action and all of this sort of thing. She's got a chest freezer in her house, by the way, Karen, which just so suits her. Yes. I haven't seen a chest freezer in someone's house for years, but it definitely suits Karen.
Stacked with, endless amounts of frozen food from Iceland.
Fish fingers, Kievs, all that sort of thing. And so she decides, do you know what, right, screw it, fair enough. I've tried lesbianism, didn't work for me, maybe prostitution's the way to go.
It was just such a strange choice because he did openly say to her, I'll give you some money. And originally she said no.
Trying.
And then she thought, well, instead of going back to him and say, "Oh, actually, could I have a little bit of money, please?" Because even Bernie was offering her money. And she's like, no, I couldn't stoop that low. But she was
proud, isn't she?
Well, okay, but she then got so low that she decided to. But it wasn't really prostitution. I think she was planning to stop until it got to a point where she could then threaten him. It just seemed such a weird direction for Karen to think.
It did seem strange that she was prepared to do. She'd rather do that than just charge her daughter rent. I
mean, that's just nuts. So Karen's story, I think, is heading toward obviously not having money. Another character that doesn't have enough money and probably going to get in a bit of trouble. Loan shark. She did mention she took money from a loan shark as well. This week.
I think we've had a loan shark thing with the Taylors before, haven't we?
But
I'm sure there was some sort of loan shark. Oh yeah, because she was getting money off the loan shark that Ben was involved with at one point, wasn't she?
That's right, and they told him they told her to leave her alone.
But
then I mean, you don't drop in the loan shark card without it coming up again. So I'm sure that's coming back.
No,
isn't it? No.
I mean, to be fair, it's it's consistent with Karen's character. We know that she gets skin, she has periods where she'll do her best, but ultimately she's not afraid to go down a slightly darker alleyway to try and keep her family afloat. So at least in that respect, it is consistent with her character.
But she was offered help from a lot of people, and she refused it, and then took a really weird direction.
That's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the link for Karen's story was we had the anniversary. Was it Chantel's birthday this week?
Yes.
And Gray didn't turn up to the meal. Gray's had a bit of a hard week this week because he's being pulled from left to right, side to side by the Mitchells because Kush has decided that he is not going to take the deal from Phil, even after Phil's fantastic speech about how to survive in prison.
What was that?
I know. He really should be a professor in prison survival, shouldn't he?
Yeah, first lesson in surviving prison, according to Phil Mitchell, is to go in and immediately beat somebody up who's weak. And then you're seen as the ultimate dog throughout the entire prison. There's no surefire way just to make sure you're all right in prison. And he was telling this to Kush, who is quite unlikely to do that.
Yeah, didn't Phil give Kush a list of films to watch as well, like Shawshank Redemption or something, like to like compare it to how his life in prison is going to be?
Yeah, told him to watch like the Bad Girls box set on Netflix, all that sort of thing.
I mean, I think that's just as good as any, and you might see a friendly face there.
Why not?
Quite a few.
You might.
He'll see Ricky. He'll see Shirley. He'll see Linda. He'll see
Shirley. See Linda. Tina. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Aunt Babe.
Yes, she had schizophrenia, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
She did. Anyway, there we go. Yes. So it leads into. I mean, let's just address this right away. Okay, let's get it out of the way. First of all, I want to say the positives of the court scene, which were the moment where Kush stood up and sort of, all of a sudden turned on the Mitchells and said, "Well, actually, these are some names that you really want to be looking into because that's why I'm here." Immediately drops Phil and Ben and Shirley in it, leaves Kat's name out of it, interestingly. So that was a nice twist. Liked that. Didn't see it coming. However, I struggled to hear what they were saying and was genuinely distracted by the orchestral music that was going on in the background to sort of illustrate how dramatic and intense the scene was supposed to be. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm aware. I rant about music whenever it happens. I get it. I'm a broken record, ironically. But this literally went against the entire point of background music, was that it's supposed to just sort of be there in the background rather than almost being another character within itself. It distracted me from the actual dialogue, which is literally the complete opposite of what background music is supposed to do.
The build-up was a bit strange as well, because it started off with the kind of rattling pipes. It
was really weird.
But it did feel like that, didn't it? It felt like that the building was about to collapse. And then all of a sudden, this kind of, as you say, this kind of resounding music. And at one moment, it was like really tense. And the next minute, it was almost like relief that Kush had kind of done it. And then it got angry because Ben was shouting at him, "There's a lie!" And then Gray was there sweating. And none of that scene did not need that music. It would have been portrayed perfectly because all the actors that were in it and all the writing for it was fine. It was absolutely fine to do it that way.
Doesn't need it. No. Stop it, please, for the love of God.
I mean, we've gone so long up until that point not having background music.
Do you know what the really annoying thing was?
What?
The really annoying thing. I actually thought when the episode started, it's so nice not to have episodes with music. Genuinely went through my head as the episode was starting.
So you jinxed
it. Won't be doing that again.
Yeah. You cursed it. You cursed the episode.
So it's my fault, really. It was my karma that was actually the underscore for that episode.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't get a good reception either online. I mean, it was pretty much universally disliked.
No, I saw some people that liked it, but I did.
What were they saying?
Just saying that I saw one person that said that it really helped make the scene feel more dramatic and all that sort of thing. So, again, it's just like everything we say on this podcast, it's entirely subjective. But the problem is sometimes you'll get something that neither of us like, so that means that the whole universe doesn't like it. But
it's our little world. But
it's our little world.
If people haven't been in touch on our Twitter or Instagram or commenting on YouTube, if you're watching on there, comment below right now and let us know what you liked about it. Because I'm genuinely curious.
Change our minds.
Yeah,
change our minds.
Change our minds entirely. Because I am genuinely interested to know.
You won't, but good luck.
No, I mean, I'll listen to it. It's
of course I will listen.
Yeah, it's the wedding dress again scenario. You're like, I'm happy to listen. I may not agree, but it's all fine. But what I mean? It's like I'm trying to get my head around what is it exactly, because obviously there's a place for background and incidental music when scenes are happening, like
nightclubs, for example.
Nightclubs, but like in the sense of drama, like obviously a lot of dramas use them. It's just that in soap it just feels alien. But is that wrong for us to feel that way?
But then, is this again us being old?
Yeah.
Because it didn't happen when we were younger and used to watch these soaps all the time. And now soaps are kind of growing up and trying to attract the younger audience, which we aren't anymore, let's be fair. So maybe it's that. We're just whinging and shouting at clouds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Grandpa Simpson. I mean, we're not the gatekeepers of EastEnders. We can't tell you what to like and dislike about it. But that was just a little thing that we didn't like. But the rest of the week, with the fallout of what Kush had done immediately, I mean, I've never seen Walford Police act so quickly on something.
No, never.
Even
never.
Callum was surprised by how quickly things were happening. He was like, "What's going on?
Oh my God, are we working?
Yeah,
God, sorry. Yeah, I don't know what to do here."
What do you mean? What do you mean Ben's in prison?
Well, talking of Callum, theoretically, he should be fired by now because it's been quite established by a reliable witness that Ben Mitchell was a big part of the operation that Kush is in court for, and that whole operation on the night featured Callum lying to protect his boyfriend. That would be patently obvious to any copper that was on duty that day, but I guess we're going to forget about that and then forget Callum's role in that. Yeah.
Never happened. Never happened.
I don't know what you're on about. Don't know what I'm on about. No,
say no
it's
more.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
I mean, again, that kind of complicates the situation. But that put aside, with the incidental music, let's just put a little pin in it and pretend it never happened.
A massive pin. It's got like a knitting needle at this point.
Yeah, that's a knife. Let's talk about the other bits then, where Kush and Whitney. I know it kind of happened very quickly with Kush kind of getting acquitted. I mean, he kind of literally came back that afternoon and was like, "I made a deal with the police." Yeah, now let's run away.
I can't believe the amount of freedom Kush has had over the past year, considering he's been supposed to be going to prison for the rest of his life for the past year. It's mad. All he has to do is kind of give a few names in court. The judge is like, cool, as you were, you can go back to work for a bit. We'll call you if we need you. So, which Kush decides is a great opportunity to take him and Whitney to Abu Dhabi. That's why I got confused. To Abu Dhabi, I think he said, didn't he? Or Dubai.
Dubai. Time I think you've used Abu Dhabi as like a place. Like you just
wishful thinking. Do you know what it is? It's because whenever anybody runs away to another country in EastEnders, it's like they literally pluck a country out of the hat and decide that's where we need to go. It's like I wonder how close Kush and Whitney were to running away to Guam or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the Central African Republic.
I think to defend the writers here, I think Kush has family in Dubai. Doesn't his dad work in Dubai with his brother?
Yes, actually, you might be quite right. All right, fair play. I'll back off then on this occasion.
Stand down, Rob.
Stand down. Hackles down.
He's convinced Martin to give up Arthur and let Arthur go with them. I thought that was a really nice scene, actually.
It was a nice scene, actually. Yeah, no, it was a really nice scene. Really well acted.
Yeah, and it showed the friendship between Kush and Martin, and this one last wish that Kush has asked from Martin and Martin's granted for him. Kind of, you know what I mean? He's like giving him permission to kind of like go and run and get away from there. And I thought that was a real nice scene because Martin's had time with the Mitchells only a couple of years ago when Dark Martin came out and reared its ugly head, and so he knows what the Mitchells would do. He knows what the Mitchells would do, and so I think he understands and has some kind of this relation with Kush, so he can look at the situation and think, actually, the Mitchells are going to be gunning for him now. Yeah,
I think ultimately it's why he didn't say. I mean, initially he was kind of like, no, absolutely not. You can't have Arthur. No, absolutely not. No way. And then literally all Kush needs to do was go, Ben. And Martin was like, oh, yeah, right, fair, take him. I'll explain to Stacey.
Oh, yeah, that guy who hung me off the bridge and no one seemed to know.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. The other thing that happened this week, which was quite nice, was clearly they bubbled Davood and Shona McCarthy, so they could actually show some closeness between Kush and Whitney, which was nice to see. Actual kissing this week we saw. I can't remember the last time we actually saw two characters and two actors actually touch lips on screen. It was so nice to see, and I think that they sort of did it for a while as well, because I think during the Martin scene, Kush and Whitney were standing really close together.
Oh, fantastic.
So they were kind of bubbled within that scene. Martin obviously was at a distance, but Kush and Whitney were realistically really close together, which was really nice to see.
Perhaps for future scenes as well. We don't know what's coming up next week. But also there was that kind of real tender moments as well, where Kush just gently, stroked her cheek, kind of realistic moments that you're used to seeing couples doing normally on soaps. And again, fantastic choice to have them bubbled like that.
Absolutely.
And have those scenes together. I enjoyed them.
It's a good indication of what's going to happen with the Ballon wedding, though, doesn't it, Marcelia? It's going to be porn. There's been months and months without any gifts made with Ballon and all that sort of thing. My God, they're going to go mad. They're going to allow in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes out at 10 p.m. just so they can allow a little bit more.
Set up your VCRs, kids. Set up your VCRs.
VCRs, there you go.
So, I'm just bringing it back to the old school.
Very old.
So the Mitchells, who are now all in prison, including Shirley. Poor Shirley. I feel a bit
they're in custody, aren't they?
Well, they're in custody.
She came back with a new haircut.
Yeah. Yeah, signed happy birthday and then went to custody. Ben and Phil are fuming. Like, they are very, very angry. And they're blaming part of it on Gray, strangely. And
felt a bit unfair.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's for plot device purposes, because obviously Gray's got this whole problem with Whitney and Kush being together in the first place. Yes. He sees Whitney as his new wife to be.
Well, he did wear Chantel's dress.
Yes, but no, she did, not him.
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe he does off camera. Maybe it all goes a little bit misery. Who knows?
I was about to say. I think we did say it was a bit like Psycho, Bates Motel with Grey. Like,
yeah, I can sort of imagine it with Grey. Actually, to be fair, just sort of when the kids are in bed, just sort of wanders around wearing Chantel's clothes and just delicately stacks the dishwasher.
What an image!
Wow, there you go.
So, what do you think? Phil and Ben have said that they don't want to take the legal route to get themselves out of prison. And
God no, Richie's on holiday.
Richie's on holiday. Yeah, Richie's the real solicitor in this. So let her have her holiday. When she comes back, we'll sort that out. But for the now, Gray needs to sort out some kind of interim solution for the problem. What do you think? And obviously, we're talking about the future of this storyline now. What do you think the solution Gray will come up with, as in what's going to happen to Kush next week?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to. Well, let's just talk about character history for a moment. For a start off, he's trying to run away with Whitney, which automatically means that it's going to be a bad scenario, doesn't it? Because God forbid Whitney ever have anything to smile about. We think pretty sure, seeing as though Davoud has recently announced that he's going to Holby. I'm sure it'll be great over at Holby. Looks cute in the uniform as well, just to add that onto the equation.
And he's working with his ex on-screen brother, who's in Casualty.
I think, he's in Casualty. Which is the thing is set in the same hospital, so whether they'll ever meet, I don't know. Anyway, so we know that Davoud is leaving, so which means it's either given the story, he's either going to go to prison, which is who knows how that's going to play out, or other bad things are going to happen to him, which seems very, very unfair given Kush's character history.
Yes, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you said that if they were to, I know what you're alluding to here, they kill Kush off at the hands of Gray. Yeah. You said that if they were to do that you would go to Elstree Studios and start a riot.
It sounds like something I'd say. Yeah. Sounds like something I'd say.
So
torches are being burned as we speak.
So I was going to say, have you got your ticket to London?
It just annoys me because it just seems really unfair to Carmel to have two dead sons, and I bet you Carmel will be, in quotations, too upset to attend the funeral.
Yeah, I know. Which is such a shame, because, I mean, I've always hoped that they'd bring back Carmel as well. I love Bonnie Langford in EastEnders.
And there's literally no reason for her to come back now.
None at all.
If Kush dies.
None at all.
None whatsoever.
Unless they bring her ex-husband who lives in Dubai over.
And why would they do that when he's got nowhere to go? No one to go and see over there.
No, that's true. I mean, this is
the Kazemi's done, isn't it?
It's just such a shame because they could. I mean, she could come back with Max. I don't know. Anyway, that's just. But this is all working on the premise that he's ultimately going to die. There is a third option, and that is he could go to the airport, about to go, and then Whitney decides that she can't go through with it.
To leave him.
And so he then just gets on the plane with Arthur.
But they've been together a whole 3 weeks. Why wouldn't she go with him?
I mean, in John Sen world, 3 weeks is about a 5-year relationship. So,
They're practically married with kids now.
But they are. That's the thing. They got Arthur and they're going to get married.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my God. So we don't know how it's going to play out. But I'm going to take an educated guess. Is I'm not going to be happy with the outcome. No. So brace yourselves for possible ranting next week.
I was going to say, listeners, don't forget to tune in next week because I think it's going to be delicious.
When I give my interview, when I record this podcast live from the train to London.
Oh no, that'd be fantastic. We're going to move on now to the Carters. Frankie has now officially moved in to the Vic, or is now being made more welcome because Nancy has returned as well, and she's given her permission to have her sister move in and have this one big family. She's even defended her family this week. I know, in front of Sharon. But there's a mystery attached to Nancy as well this week.
what is what is going on with Nancy's money. Now, we saw briefly that when she came back, it seemed to be like both quite cheerfully, both Mick and Linda were like, "What are you doing here? Like, why are you here, Nancy? What's going on?" I now have a sister, so I don't think it's unreasonable that I'd come and see how you're doing, which I thought was fairly reasonable. But it does seem that there's an ulterior motive to Nancy's return, which we're not quite sure about yet, because she was on the phone to Tamwa, who, let's be honest, we're never going to see again. And there seems to be some sort of money trouble. I think they've broken up, haven't they? They've clearly broken up because they're talking about putting money in her account and all of this sort of thing.
It sounded like he took money out of an account.
Yeah.
Almost to punish her about something. Yeah, I mean, that really upsets me a little bit that they've done that.
It seems a little bit untamwa-like, doesn't it?
It does seem a little bit. And also, their relationship seems so solid. I know that they left and they need kind of bits and pieces.
The effects of New Zealand, you know what I mean? Houses set on fire. Just ask Lauren. Relationships don't stand a chance.
I mean, that's partly down to Lauren, though. Let's be honest. Lauren is probably a very difficult person to live with.
Left a toaster on or something.
Yeah, but with Nancy and Tamwa, I imagine it being quite a nice little home them to live together. And they've not been married that long. I mean, that's what Mick and Linda, prior to this last time, they went to visit them for. Was for their wedding, wasn't it?
It seems that's done, I think. So, I mean, this is full-time return for Nancy now.
Well, I believe that Nancy starts a relationship with Zach.
Oh, that's why she's kicking off with Sharon at the moment, then.
Absolutely, that's why they're doing the tension between them.
Because that seemed quite random and out of the blue. I did like the little scene between them where Sharon was just like rude when Nancy was accusing her of wearing a wig. It was quite fun to watch, but didn't make a huge amount of kind of sense as to why they're both suddenly at each other's throats immediately. Because it seems a shame also that Sharon and the Carter seem to be really at loggerheads now.
I was about to say the exact same thing. It seems weird that Linda and Sharon have now fallen out again. I mean, I don't think Sharon...
Properly, though.
Yeah, I mean, okay, they bought the Vic off of her in her desperate hour of need. Wow.
Yeah.
But is that warrant enough? Because she's got a gym now. She's got a whole new life, old Sharon.
Exactly.
She's got an insurance policy that no one can even touch. You know, it's her world is her oyster.
Yeah, and they moved properties. You know, they swapped properties. So so presumably this whole thing of them not talking to each other and like having fallen out, I thought was going all right. But all of a sudden, Sharon's walking into the Vic and looking at Frankie and really looking down at the situation, saying, "Well, look at this. Look what's going on in the Vic now," and like being really bitchy about it. So Nancy automatically like gets her hackles up and lays into Sharon. It just seems that Sharon and the Carters really aren't on a good footing at the moment, which seems a shame because I quite like their friendship.
I mean, I wondered why they were making such a big deal about Sharon getting together and being BFFs with Jean recently. And I think that perhaps was the route. They wanted to kind of separate Linda from Sharon. Because I want to talk about Linda for a second, because there's been lots and lots of little clues being dropped that she's feeling very hot. She's eating a lot of apples. She's complaining that she's tired a lot more often. I
didn't notice the apples thing.
Well, this is why I brought it up. She's eating apples, and the last time she ate lots and lots of apples was when she was pregnant with Ollie. Are we going down the route that she's pregnant with Max's baby, and that Mick has to accept it? And this is basically almost a parallel to a story where Linda has to accept Frankie as her daughter. Do you think? You know, EastEnders like their parallels.
Oh, now you've said it. It makes total sense. Of course, that's what they're going to do, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
It's up there, isn't it? It's an idea.
I mean, it looked like the menopause at first, didn't it? Like, but then Linda actually suggested maybe I have the menopause, which automatically means that she doesn't have the menopause.
Well,
yeah,
we talked about that, didn't we? We both when you because I tweeted it and you replied, and I said to you, but they've said it now, so that's not what it is, and you were like, of course,
exactly what I thought. Oh God! I mean, I don't want the Carters to have another. They don't need another kid. This is the thing that annoys me about characters having kids, is that they just get forgotten about. Like the kids are there, the pregnancy's there for the storyline. Also because Kelly Bright's going off on maternity leave again, so I guess it's her turn to have a mad maternity leave story. So maybe they're actually going to make the character pregnant just so they don't have to try and hide her stomach. Maybe that's the thing now. But I don't know. I don't know if I want what. So they don't need another kid though. They've got enough going on with Ollie. Now Frankie. I don't need like a little mini baked bean running around.
Little mini Max. Yeah, I know. I mean, as soon as she said the apple thing, I suddenly thought, oh, hang on, this is a weird behaviour. Yeah. And I
didn't remember that.
And I remembered it after speaking to a couple of people, and they were like, yeah, apples, Ollie. pregnant. Yeah. I mean, and the only explanation for it I can think of, because the Carters can never be happy. They go on to one roller coaster story to the next. It has to be Max's kid.
Manager, at least that gives him a reason to come back in a few years, doesn't it?
But what, Max? But do you want Max to come back for that? Really?
I mean, I don't mind Max. I want Jake Wood to come back. Ultimately, Australia needs as many good actors as it can get, and Jake Wood is a great actor. So yeah, in a way, I do want Max to come back.
Yeah, but I don't want Jake Wood to come back and be like his normal, the Max of my baby, it's my baby.
I seem to remember the last time Max went away for a considerable period, he'd come back with a little bit of a personality transplant. So maybe he'll do that again. He might come back a lot more chilled this time. I've moved away from Walford, and funnily enough, life's not as stressful anywhere else. So I've managed to lose all sorts of mental health problems.
Maybe Max will come back with like a hair transplant with long hair and a hippie kind of mentality in life until he finds out that he's got a son or daughter through Linda. Long hair. All of a sudden, it turns out that just living in Walford was what made him bald. Who knew? He is. Tear his hair out.
Lost hair through stress. I want to talk about the fact that Frankie really works in the Vic. I like her in there. She seems to be fitted in there quite well. And what they're doing is basically sorting out the Carters and building up the family unit that was their original USP again. You've now got Shirley living there again, Nancy's living there, Frankie's living there, and then Mick and Linda building up that sort of familial unit that was in the Vic when they first arrived. And it works. Automatically, you're looking at them and going, yeah, this feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I like it when a family runs the Vic. It's like when the Mitchells ran the Vic. It was Peggy and Grant, and and then whoever was attached to Grant at the time, Roxy, basically any Mitchell family. And like the only kind of exception was Alfie when he was introduced as the bar manager, but that's when Barbara Windsor had to kind of step back a little bit and not do quite so much work, but. Yeah, no, I like that too. It's really good. Which is one of the reasons why I don't mind the Carters being back in the Vic. But they really did. They were so lost when they weren't in the Vic. They had to be back in the Vic.
Yeah, they were. So we'll see how Sharon gets on with her gin.
Yes. Yeah.
and how the Carters get on. But yeah, it's nice to have them back, let's be fair.
Right, so we're going to go to a game. Rob's game this week.
This is Ian Beale's Real Deal. Now, Alex, I have been through the Walford Weekly archives and found a classic game that you used to play all the time.
Oh, right.
It's an old one. And it so happens that Vicky Tucker, one of our lovely listeners, has sent in a game that really works with this format. So I've taken her questions and adapted it into this game. So Ian Beale's Real Deal, I'm going to give you a selection of characters. And we're going to talk about the number of kids that they have, alive or dead.
Mm-hmm.
Their actual birth kids. Okay. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to give you another character, and you say whether they are higher or lower. You can get a bonus point if you can name all the kids as well.
Oh, right. Well, okay. Don't expect bonus points coming my way, but
I think you'll do all right. It's nothing too complicated here, I don't think. So we'll start off with Kathy Beale. Okay. How many kids do you think Kathy Beale's got or had in her lifetime?
She had Donna. She had Ian, and she had Ben, so she's had 3.
Yes, 3 kids, right? Okay, so well done. So I'm now going to give you the next character. Tell me whether you think it's higher or lower, okay?
Okay.
Charlie Slater.
Oh, so we're saying his sperm supplied children.
We are there. That was exactly what I was saying. Yes.
Okay. Because obviously his anatomy wouldn't allow him to birth the children. I just want to get my head around it. I wanted. I know how you're
going to get your head around you're going to get your head around the complicated procedure of male and female birth processes.
I know how you like your trick questions. Let's never forget the Queen. Never forget the Queen Vic bust. And so
Queen Victoria was a killer, but there's nothing complicated about the fact that Charlie Slater was a man, so didn't technically and physically give birth to the children.
I know. So I wondered if you were going to then say he had no children, and after I went through trying to work out how many children he had.
How pedantic do you think I am?
Well, I know how pedantic you are. Right. Okay, so Kat, Lynn, Mo.
Yes.
It can't be the same number, so I'm going to say higher.
No. You can say higher. You've missed one out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the 4th one is. I can't think. Belinda.
Correct, yes. So, Charlie Slater, 4 girls, Lynn, Mo, Kat, and Belinda. Okay, so you got the hire right, and you eventually got the kids right, and you've also even got the anatomy right. So well done.
Yeah.
You don't get a bonus point for working out that Charlie Slater had a penis. However, right. So your next one.
The English schooling system served me well,
didn't it? Just the next one, Patrick Truman.
Right, he had
lower or higher.
Oh, sorry. Okay, roll. It's lower.
Yes.
He had Paul, the doctor, and I can't remember the name of the doctor.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's annoying. And that's it, isn't it?
No.
But hang on. Denise. Oh, no, hang on. Higher. Denise, Kim.
He didn't give birth to... He's not the father of either Denise or Kim.
Oh, okay. Isaac, Paul, and the one who's the doctor. And Anthony. 3. Lower. 3.
3. Yes. Correct. Well
so
done.
I got confused with that whole storyline with Kim and Denise being sisters, and for some reason I associated him being the father. But no, yes, okay, cool, good.
It's understandable. So did the writers. So your next one, Karen Taylor, should be easy.
Right, Keanu, Bernie.
So we're saying.
Higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keanu. Higher. They get a pair for this game. Bernie, Keanu, Chatnam and Riley. Am I missing one? Bailey. No, not Bailey.
No.
I'm definitely... Hang on, 3. I'm missing 2. I thought I was missing 1. So she has 6.
Yes.
Oh, I can't think of the other 2. They've been on the show, I take it.
Yes, one of them still is.
I've said Bernie.
Yeah. So you said Bernie, Chatham, Riley.
Yeah. Oh, Chantel.
Keanu, Chantel, and one more.
Keegan. Why can't I remember Keegan?
Thank you.
It's because he doesn't have anything to do with them anymore much, does he, really?
No, that's true. Completely unidentified from the Taylors. Higher or lower, Ian Beale?
Lower.
Wow. Yes.
Stephen's not his, so not Stephen.
He is correct.
Peter?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
I know it.
Yes, you do.
Lucy.
Thank you. Only the most famous death in Walford history.
Sorry.
3 more. Alfie Moon.
Bert and Ernie.
Yes.
And the other one.
But there is another kid.
Oh, I got a 3. Lower.
Yes. Cherry.
Oh, Sheree.
Sheree, who God knows where Sheree is these days. Just sort of wandering around.
On her own.
2 more. Yeah, on her own. Probably. She'd been better off. So 2 more. Kat Slater. Higher or lower?
Oh, well, Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
And the one who's got dyslexia.
Yes, Tommy, yes.
That one. Uncle, Bad Things, Look at the Moon.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, $1 Million Woman. Slept with Den.
Yes.
I'm not good with names. Before people at me on in social media this week, I'm not good with remembering names.
Zoe
Slater.
Yes, and one more, which I'm not even going to try and get out of your head. The other one was Dermot, who we met in the spin-off series. If you remember.
Redwater.
The forgotten twin.
Yeah, I feel like the higher and lower games just thrown out the window and it's name the children now.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the final one is: does Billy Mitchell have higher or lower children than Kat Slater?
Jamie. Oh no, he's his uncle. Lower.
Lower, correct. Yeah. So you've got two that are on the square currently.
Janet and Will.
And then another one. I don't blame you for not getting this one because I got no idea who this kid is. Dan. No idea.
Don't ring a bell.
But yeah, so no, me neither. So there we go. That was the chaos. That was Ian Beale's Real Deal. Let's talk about your performance there. How do you think you did? How do you think you could improve for the future?
I feel like it's an interview with my manager. Well, how could I improve? Probably find...
Maybe you start watching EastEnders.
Yeah. It's just names. I can't do names.
I know.
Stop giving me games where names are involved. I'm telling you. Right, so moving on, we have Isaac, Lola,
No
Patrick,
words.
and Sheree's story. And Patrick's story has taken a bit of a surprise turn for me this week because he's undergoing. We knew he wanted to do the trial for the stroke medicine, I suppose, or the trial, the trials for it. And they started talking about how black people are almost seen as disposable in the medical world. That's really interesting.
It is interesting, and it's a topic I'm going to hold my hands up right away and say I don't know a huge amount about, so I don't want to make any assumptions either way. What I felt a little bit sort of iffy about was during the scene when Isaac's doctor came to see him, and he was talking about like how he was feeling and all this sort of thing. Like, he was basically having some sort of checkup with his GP or whatever, wasn't he? Came and did a house visit, helpfully, and he was talking about like the Patrick thing and how he was worried about it, and mentioned the race thing. And then this doctor turns around and says, "Are you sure you're taking your medication?"
Yeah,
as though Isaac was being paranoid about it, which seemed to me, if they are going down, I understand that at some point we're going to have an Isaac breakdown, of course we are, but to me that seemed a little bit dodgy ground to start accusing him of being paranoid because he was worried about this racial thing within the medical profession. Do you know what I mean?
I feel they kind of got themselves out of it a little bit though, because it was when he then started saying that at first he agreed with Patrick that he's his own man, he can make his own decisions, but then when Sheree started giving the evidence toward how and I think this is very much based on the uptake on the vaccine. I've got a funny feeling they're kind of heading that kind of, because obviously people in the BAME community are a bit more resistant on taking it because they feel like they feel like they are guinea pigs in the world. They tend to be scapegoats by governments and by medical practitioners as a way, they're disposable. Like you, I don't know enough about it. It's unfortunately not my. But I would love to learn more. I've looked into bits and pieces, and I know in America it's a huge thing. And
well, apparently I haven't been watching it. Apparently, Corrie's has been doing a sort of similar story, kind of bubbling away. So the fact that two of the soaps are covering this means it's clearly an issue, and it's clearly a conversation to be had. So I'm totally prepared to go along with this story and go along with this conversation, find out about it and learn from it. But yeah, to me it just felt a little bit dodgy that they were trying to throw in Isaac's paranoia into that. That was the only thing for me.
No, I agree with you. It's all, again, to just use the old standard, it's the whole Gray and Chantel's wonderful story about the domestic abuse story, which is now turning into a serial killer storyline. Was it right for them to use a domestic abuse story to kind of ignite that storyline, to kind of cheapen it? And are they doing the same with this one? I sincerely hope not. And I hope Patrick, the actor Patrick, and to be fair, Isaac, Sheree, and Lola has really surprised me. They're all doing a sterling job, and I like that
Lola's really matured.
I know, I'm shocked, absolutely shocked.
She's stunned by Lola's maturity throughout this entire story,
and I'm enjoying it as well. Like when their story came up this week, I was actually on board, and it was one of the reasons why. And this is what I like about EastEnders, like when it's the B story, because let's be honest, it's not the main focus story this week. The Carters and the Mitchells and Kush was probably seen as the main focus, but as a side story that kind of chugged along around with it, it was interesting, it was intriguing, it was played out well, written nicely. It was something I really enjoyed watching, and this is an example of where you can have a really good week of EastEnders when every single piece of the jigsaw comes together.
Just works. It's been on the whole, it's been a really strong week, I'd argue. So where do we think we're going with Isaac then? So because the doctor suggested, if we're going to take that at face value, the doctor has suggested that he's maybe lapsing on his medication slightly, and he does seem to, there's little signs, like him taking Patrick's phone and him sort of worrying about what his mum is saying about him and his mum trying to like sort of control him and all that sort of thing. It's incredibly subtle. So I don't know whether they are slowly trying to drop in seeds that a breakdown is coming, which we know ultimately it will happen. Because otherwise, let's be frank, what's the point in giving him schizophrenia if they're not going to explore that,
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is the start of it, or whether, on the other hand, it's a sort of commentary on what we assume someone with schizophrenia is going to do, when in fact Isaac is completely and utterly in the right.
That's
Are they going to go down
actually.
that path?
Yeah, no, I like that as well. I like the fact that you're kind of seeing it from other people's point of view of what they believe Isaac is capable of doing, rather than what Isaac actually is doing. And so, I mean, I like the way that Isaac has become quite comfortable with Lola. and he trusts her. And Lola,
well, they're at it like rabbits.
they certainly are. And again, shockingly, Lola seems to be the common sense in the relationship.
Like it's mad, isn't it?
I know.
I don't like it.
when he was talking to Lola about how he stole Patrick's phone, but explained why, Lola quite calmly said,
I understand that.
Yeah, I understand why you did it. You shouldn't have done it. And it's like, oh my God, Lola, what's happening? This world is turned upside down. We really are in a parallel universe in EastEnders right now.
Non-COVID Lola is sensible world. Sort of at the beginning of this, I think. So there's not a huge amount we can sort of throw into thinking about where it's going to go and all this sort of thing. I do think it's the whole sort of black issue, if you like, here with drug trials and all that sort of thing is a really sort of interesting issue for us to discuss. So let's hope that we get lots of. I hope that they do it right. I have no doubt that they will, because it seems a very irresponsible thing to get wrong. So, we'll see how it goes. But I think it should be interesting.
Totally. As always, if anyone have any comment that they would like us to, discuss about this issue,
let us know.
Let us know. Comment, tweet us, Instagram. All the details are at the end of the show, but you can also find it on the show notes. One final story then, and it was the return of Sonia.
Was that Sonia?
Irish hat
was that
on.
Sonia? Yeah. A little Irish leprechaun. I didn't know that was Sonia. I thought that was literally Warwick Davis dressed up as his horror movie character.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, with his little stick. Oh my God. Anyway, this all started. This
because was mad.
I know. Tiff and Dotty are continuing their. What's the word? They're kind of stealing money from
sandwich business.
No, not.
That's fleecing.
Fleecing. They're fleecing men who they get a little bit drunk. Ruby finds out about it this week and was like,
fine with it.
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me? I want some.
I really liked. I thought it was funny because Ruby kind of walks into the office in a power suit. It's that suit she was wearing. It was like Ruby was head queen of. And she kind of walked in and she was kind of like, "So you're doing this then?" I've had a complaint from a guy who's saying that you fleeced him for like a magnum of champagne. And the girls are like, yeah, sorry, won't happen again. Ruby's like, what do you mean it won't happen again? You're damn right it'll happen again, but you'll do it properly next time.
Hundreds. Only take hundreds.
Hundreds. Ruby's all down for this. But then she's ultimately looking at helping us realise that Dotty and Tiff are really bad at this.
I mean, Dotty doesn't think she is. I think Dotty thinks that she's a master.
Oh, no.
I like the fact that there was a line this week where Dotty said, you'll almost be as good at me as doing it. And I thought, Dotty, you've not done it once.
You've done nothing yet, Dotty. All you've done is tell Tiff what to do, and that's not gone well.
And Tiff is clearly beginning to feel a bit regretful about the whole situation.
Tiff knows that she's bad at this.
Yeah, she does. And she's a bit, and she's got a man following her now as well, who is demanding.
Not for the first time.
Money. No, demanding money from her. Follows her into the house, and
then he gets knocked out by a leprechaun.
Yeah, also known
not
as
a sentence I thought I was going to say at the start of the week.
I mean, I just love the fact she had the little Irish hat on.
It just appeared,
and the hurling stick, because
I didn't even know. I didn't notice the hat on her head because I think I was too busy screeching at the fact that Sonia was stood there having knocked this guy out. Now I know what you're going to say. All right.
Right.
Yes.
So, yes, you have a history, Rob.
Go on.
You have said, Rob, in the past that you feel that using someone getting whacked about on the back of the head.
It does annoy me. It does annoy me.
It's a very dangerous thing because it can cause concussion, like brain hemorrhages, all kinds of things.
It does annoy me.
And yet, when I messaged you and said, Rob, this must be something you're very angry about, you were like, no, it's fine.
I know. It made me laugh. I'm sorry. Because I absolutely screeched because I wasn't expecting Sonia to come back at all. I knew she was coming back at some point. I didn't expect her to come back, A, dressed as a leprechaun, and B, to like knock this. It just made me laugh, I think. It was a really kind of high camp ending to the episode, which I think was being played for laughs, which means that I don't think it was annoyed me as much as when they are trying to use it as a genuine sort of story point. Like when Sharon slapped Karen and she was unconscious on the floor, or when Kat knocked Jack out with a CD player. It wasn't. I don't know. It just made me laugh. So maybe that's made it a little bit more excusable in my head. It's still stupid. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but a very dark situation. You say it's played for laughs, but she's basically hitting someone around the head who threatened to rape 2 young women.
That's true. I think it was. Yeah, no, that's very true. Very, very very true. Maybe it was a juxtaposition that surprised me and caught me off guard.
I do like, though, it was almost like a Jane returning through the back door kind of entrance, wasn't it? No one expected it.
Standing there with a boomerang in her hand.
It's not a boomerang. It's a hurling stick.
I've never heard of a hurl.
I think it's used in that Irish sport where it's like hockey, but at the same time you kind of throw a ball at the same time. You kind of they bat the ball.
Curling, I thought that was.
Is that called curling? I thought curling was the thing when you play on ice and you push the...
Oh, that's two gays about sport, like we have a clue.
Well, Keegan was caught out this week on social media because Tiff had set up a live cam of him baking in the kitchen, which he didn't know about, spilt, was it mayonnaise on his top, and then got completely naked because for some reason Keegan can't clean a little piece of mayonnaise off his shirt without taking all his clothes off.
Yeah, no, because I don't understand why this happened, though, because Tiff decided that she was going to live stream Keegan making sandwiches because that's a fascinating thing. Why would that pick up their business? I mean, I know what's going to really bring the money in. I'm going to film him making these sandwiches in the kitchen, and that's going to bring the crowd flocking in, like live streaming sandwich making. Fascinating. Maybe that's where we're going wrong.
Maybe that's what we should do. We should just live stream ourselves the hour before we're doing the podcast, trying to sort out a microphone.
And then just get covered in mayonnaise. And, yeah.
I mean,
that happened.
I've seen lesser on like TikTok live stream and stuff like that. So in a way, it is fathomable. True. But I just, someone has set up the Butcher Baker Instagram account. Why the BBC? Again, lost opportunity here. They had it on the screen, the name. They didn't snap it for themselves.
Make it a thing.
No, other people have done it for them. So BBC, come on. Get your social media department sorted out.
Mr. Trick. And the really mad thing about this whole sandwich story is that it's so normal, effectively, apart until this happened. But, like, it was so, like,
yeah, but even this
so
was
ordinary.
Normal and ordinary, really.
It was. It's so ordinary compared to all the absolute madness that's been going on in Walford the past few weeks. And all of a sudden, and then on the other side, you've got, like, people being murdered and attacked and running from police and discovering they've got daughters and all that kind of thing, and then you've got Keegan in the corner making a sandwich. Like, it doesn't it's mad.
But I am happy
maybe that's why it works.
Yeah, I'm happy that there's a young couple who are trying it out and like trying to do businesses. Keegan's finally on a stable road. I think he helped Gray down this week, didn't he, when Gray was drinking too much on Chantel's birthday. And there was those scenes this week. I like it. I like that there's normality on the soap. Like I say,
do like it.
Another small piece of the jigsaw puzzle that kind of fitted in nicely for the whole week as an entirety.
I can't imagine this ever being an A story, but I live to be surprised.
I don't know. I think there's potential there. Obviously, there's the Dotty and Tiff story still going along. I mean, now Ruby's involved. They can only go from bad to worse, I'm sure.
Are we going to see this guy again on Monday that's currently unconscious on Sonia's floor?
Well, it's not Sonia's floor, it's Dot's floor. All these men that end up on Dot's kitchen floor. There was Martin.
Yeah, that's true. It's not Leo's.
There's Leo, who got stabbed by Whitney, which started the whole debacle that we're actually going through right now, if you think about it, technically.
That floor has a lot to answer for.
It really does. Dot's kitchen. I tell you, that's a game right in itself.
Dot's kitchen, yeah.
And obviously the mayonnaise incident, which we can never ever unsee.
Ever forget.
No.
So there we go. That was a week in Walford.
That was a week in Walford. I mean, like I say, an enjoyable week. I don't think I've got
enjoyable week.
Yeah. May they continue with less sound effects.
But yeah, so we enjoyed it. But let's see what you thought this week in I Ain't One to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
As Rob mentioned, this is the part of the show where we'll discuss your comments that you send to us on our Twitter, our Instagram, our Facebook group, and also your comments below our YouTube video. All the details of how you can get in touch will be at the end of the show. So first of all, at EastEnders Addy1 has said on Twitter, wasn't expecting Sonia to save the day, but is going to have a lot to say about what all the Tiff and Dotty have been up to this week. Yeah, I know. Sonia, she went to get some peace and quiet to kind of relax from her heavy duties at the hospital. She obviously, I think she went to India first, didn't she, to see Robbie?
Well, that's why I was confused why she came back dressed as a leprechaun. Well,
she must have
didn't understand.
She must have taken a flight to Ireland to visit Dot first and then came back to...
Where's Carol at the minute? She in Ireland? I thought the last...
No, Carol, last time we heard from Carol, she was in like kind of retreat, wasn't she? Like up in the mountains.
She was up a mountain somewhere, wasn't
she? Meditating and yoga and bits and pieces. I mean, I welcome Carol returning. But I doubt.
I'd love Carol to return, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I mean, my biggest mistake I've ever made on this podcast, and I don't know if I've ever said this to you, I may have even only said this in private, is that when I was doing a tier list, No, I wasn't doing a tier list. I was talking about Carol, and I said, I don't really like Carol as a character. I found her a bit boring. So I'm like, whoa. Hang on. I hadn't seen her in the early days of EastEnders. I only kind of based it on the later stuff, and I didn't really like her in the later stuff.
Carol's amazing.
Having watched her early stuff, I adore Carol, and I now need to rewatch the stuff when she was on later on because I think I will see it in a completely different light.
Carol is an amazing character and played so naturally by Lindsay Coulson. Incredible character. I don't think we're ever going to get her back though, unfortunately, but hey, let's hope so. And then Gareth Rhys-Jones says, I don't think Ray's going to kill Kush. I still don't believe he's actually killed Tina. I feel like he'll manipulate Whitney into staying somehow and Kush will end up on the run alone. What you've written there, Gareth, that little paragraph you've written there is literally the best case scenario, what you've got there. Yeah, that is exactly what we want to happen out of a story, which means that absolutely none of that is going to happen.
I mean, we're going into it expecting the worst, but hoping for the best. The best. And like you say, that's the best case scenario. There's a little bit what I said about Whit staying behind and stuff. I mean, I'd love also for Tina not to be dead. I keep going on about Tina not being dead, but I don't know.
It's not looking likely at the minute. Because even the Carters seem to be fairly over Tina. Oh, she's on a beach somewhere. She'll be fine.
Yeah, Shirley came
back. She got her hair done. She's all right. Shirley's fine now.
She probably had it done on the plane, or Shirley. I mean, that haircut looked a bit rough. Do you not think?
It did. I think she did it herself, didn't she? Bless her. It suited Shirley, I thought.
Yeah, no, I suppose it did. I mean, Shirley also, we didn't really say about this, but Shirley really welcomed Frankie in. I thought Shirley would be a lot more resilient to...
She did. I quite like the fact that Shirley was, when they were doing the signing thing, Shirley clearly had made absolutely zero effort to learn this and was just sort of standing next to Mick and Linda, like sort of watching them as she was doing the signing and then sort of holding her hands out in an open wait for her applause.
Ta-da!
I have missed Shirley. That sort of dry humour that she gives the show. I didn't realise how much I'd missed Shirley, but I'm really glad she's back. No, that's it. That's it for this week, isn't it, Alex? I believe so. So you can contact us on Twitter, Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get notifications about the spoiler videos.
And don't forget to comment below, because we do read all of your comments on YouTube. We really do.
We do.
We discuss them at great length.
We do. We genuinely do as well. And you can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. You can email us personally, which some people have done this week. We're trying to get through all the emails that we get. I also have an email address at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com, or you can contact Alex on alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. We will be back next week where we will be discussing the fallout of Kush. What's going to happen? We'll find out next week. Until then, we both bid you goodbye.
Be there or be Albert Square.
Nice.